I'm revisiting this piece called Genevieve today. It's one of those pieces that went through a ton of changes and sort of evolved as I did. The composition actually comes from a photo which I took in Stockbridge in the Berkshires, which is not something I do in my practice now, working from photos.
But it was a tool I used back in high school to learn my style. I would work from a photo and adjust it in Photoshop pretty heavily in terms of color and work from that photo while making it not photorealistic.
Genevieve feels like a variation of that same idea, but instead of stopping at the digital filter, I let the painting kind of take over. I was always really drawn to the Impressionists, their use of color, how they captured emotion instead of exactness. They certainly informed this piece in a few ways.
Though at first the brushwork was a little bit more fluid and like watercolor, actually this piece in its early stages is currently still my phone background.
Then over time I leaned into this heavier texture, and I love that thick impasto texture that feels almost sculptural and like it's inviting you to bridge the gap between the two in 3D and just jump right into the painting. The phone background kind of haunts me and makes me wish that I had exercised a little bit more restraint.
Because I look back on moments like this that I love texturally, but then I see what it previously was and I think, what would it be like if I took a cue from Doran Langberg in Lovers at Night, where the texture is more implied? Or perhaps more fittingly, what if I made this piece more like Whirlorama by Sam Gilliam, where there's more of a wash and the textures converge at very specific focal points? Or this example from Eugene Leroy, which shows that texture exists when there's absence of it.
And then there's the dock, which, though it was present obviously in the original photo that this piece is inspired by, it's something that shows up in a lot of my work that's finished, unfinished, a little bit more representational, or completely abstract, and it just kind of happened. And it's a powerful symbol for me that's representative of the paths and the choices that we make in life every second of every day. Where these planks occur, it's not just the path we choose, but it's every step we take that might have a butterfly effect associated with it. And to me, this path, the way it is, it feels a little static. It could stand to be expanded upon.
Maybe doing something along the lines of this piece by Per Kirkeby, where that element repeats throughout and meanders through the abstract composition. So let's see what these edits would look like. I'm putting a background layer down so that I can begin to remove some of the impasto and then begin to test out what the addition of that pathway element would look like added throughout the piece and mixing with the brush. I do think that it's an improvement and adds some dynamicism to the piece.
Am I going to make these changes? I put finish on it, so no. But I think this piece wants to stay in the moment of time when it was created, and I'm okay to let this one be as it is in its whimsical pink frame, which it knows its own naivete. It wasn't until I had begun it again in 2024 that I named it Genevieve, which was a name that I had in the back of my mind as what I would always wanted to name my future daughter.
Because when I was a kid, my favorite book was Madeline, and the dog who saves her from the water is named Genevieve, which is, I guess, the first time I heard the name.
Even though it's not really about that story, there is a poetic link of water, rescue, transition, the feeling behind it. It started to line up as standing on the edge of something vast, venturing out into the world, some new adventure, cycles repeating, beginning something new. All of that was what I could see when I looked at it and what I felt when I was creating it. For now, I'm keeping it with me. Maybe someday it'll be in my future daughter's room and inspire a whole series that is based off of this seed of an idea and photo.